The Tale of the Pure Monk and the Omi Governor. Once upon a time, there was a man named Omi no Kami who served as the governor of Omi. He was wealthy and had many children, among whom was a single daughter. While still quite young, she was beautiful, with long hair and delicate features. Her parents loved her dearly and cared for her so closely that they could not bear to take their eyes off her. However, despite the many suitors, including noblemen who sought her hand, her father wished to present her to the emperor and did not arrange a marriage. The daughter began to suffer from a mysterious illness, which caused her parents great sorrow. They prayed for her recovery and sought healing, but to no avail. During this time, they heard of a monk named Jozo Daidoku, known for his miraculous powers. His reputation was such that he was revered throughout the land. Consequently, Omi no Kami thought to have Jozo come and perform healing rituals for his daughter. When Jozo arrived, Omi no Kami was overjoyed, and he began to perform the rituals, which soon revealed the girl's condition. As her recovery began, her parents urged Jozo to continue his prayers a little longer. While with them, he subtly observed the daughter and suddenly felt a surge of desire, losing focus on everything else. It seemed that the daughter, too, had begun to notice this change. As days passed, despite efforts to conceal their feelings, word of their connection began to spread among the people. Upon hearing the rumors, Jozo felt shame and avoided visiting the family. He lamented, "I shall never again seek fame or fortune," and thus vanished from their lives, hiding in the shadows. Perhaps he regretted his actions. Later, he secluded himself deep in the mountains of Kurama, where he engaged in ascetic practices, but he could not shake the memory of the girl who had fallen ill. He found himself longing for her, unable to focus on his spiritual pursuits. One day, as he lay down to rest, he discovered a letter beside him. One of his disciples who had been accompanying him asked, "What is this letter?" When the disciple said he did not know, Jozo took the letter and opened it. It was written in the hand of the woman he had longed for, and upon reading it, he found, "Though I live in the mountains of Kurama, will you come back to me one day?" Upon seeing this, Jozo was taken aback and thought, "Who has sent this? I have not considered how to respond. How strange!" He resolved to end this matter and focus solely on his practices, yet the feelings of love overwhelmed him. That night, he secretly went to the woman's house to see her. When he arrived, she quietly let him in. After their meeting, Jozo returned to Kurama that same night. However, Jozo could not stop yearning for her. Thus, he sent her another message. "Though I suffer painfully thinking of you, the song of the nightingale should not be the only thing that brings me joy." In response, the woman wrote, "Have you forgotten me? Even the nightingale sings only during the evening, and my thoughts of you return." Jozo then replied, "Even though I left you behind, how could I ever resent you for your innocence?" As they continued to exchange letters like this, their story became well known in the world. Meanwhile, Omi Inokami, having heard of their relationship, remained protective of his daughter. He did not allow her to meet with any other suitors, believing, "I will arrange for her to be married to the emperor," unaware of the depth of her feelings. People whispered, "This is the essence of a woman's heart. It is deeply flawed. Even if Jozo poured out his heart, he could not fulfill her desires. Thus, he has wasted his own efforts." Thus, the story has been passed down. Title: The Tale of the Girl from the Ministry of Middle Affairs. Once upon a time, there was a man named Sakhak Shak from the Ministry of Middle Affairs who had only a daughter as he had no sons. Their family was poor, but he arranged for his daughter to marry a man known as the soldier. Sk. They spent many years together, but as time passed, the soldier found it difficult to leave. When the man from the Ministry of Middle Affairs passed away, his mother was left alone, feeling anxious and worried. This sense of unease only increased as time went on, and the daughter, feeling deeply saddened, mourned her loss. Without her mother, she was left alone, crying inconsolably, but to no avail. Eventually, as there was no one left in the house, the daughter said to the soldier, "As long as I have my family, I've heard you will care for me. Now that I am in this difficult situation, I cannot ask for your kindness anymore. How can I endure this? Even if my situation is unpleasant, I hope for something good to happen." The man, feeling pity, replied, "Why would I abandon you? But still, she found it difficult to maintain her attire, which became tattered, and she said to her husband, if you still care about me, please send word to me. I can no longer be useful in this situation. Pressured, the man ultimately left. Once he was gone, the girl was left feeling even more forlorn. The house was empty, and even though she had a small child with her, they had no clothes to wear or food to eat, making survival impossible. The child eventually left as well. The soldier had his reasons for leaving, but as he became someone else's husband, he did not even send any messages. She remained in the dilapidated corner of their home, living alone. In one corner of the house lived an elderly nun who, feeling pity for the girl, would sometimes bring her snacks and food. As time went by, this nun, who was connected to the local authority in Omi, had a young man staying with her who was the son of a district governor. He asked the nun, "Please find me a young maid." The nun replied, "I do not know of any maid, as I am too old to go searching. However, this girl here is precious and all alone." The young man listened and said, "You should meet her. If she is lonely, I will indeed take her back to my home as a wife." The nun agreed to pass this message along. After this conversation, the young man continually pressed the nun, and she often brought sweets to him. She said, "Why would she not wish to come to you? Wouldn't it be better for her to go with someone who would treat her well than to remain in her current state?" The girl replied, "Why would I do that?" The nun then did not respond. The young man, wanting to be serious about this matter, took his bow and that night went to the area where the girl was living. The dog barked, and the girl, feeling more frightened than usual, was distressed. As dawn broke, the nun, who was also going out, said, "Last night must have been frightening." The nun then said, "Tell her that someone is coming to see her." The girl, feeling uncertain, thought, "What should I do?" Seeing her expression, the nun secretly let the young man in that night. Afterward, the two grew close, and the girl thought, "Now what should I do?" So she accompanied him down to Omi. However, the man had a wife in his homeland, so he returned to his family's house, where his original wife was extremely angry. He could not come near the girl from Kyoto. Meanwhile, the people from Kyoto were serving the district governor, and when news came that a new governor had arrived, everyone in the area was in an uproar. During this time, it was reported, "The governor is already present." Thus, the district governor's house became lively, with elaborate sweets and food being prepared, and they carried these items to the governor's hall. Among them, as many people entered, some from Kyoto carried their goods. As the governor observed many items being brought to the hall, he noticed one girl who stood out in her misery and sorrow. He summoned a young servant and said, "Find out who that girl is and bring her to me this evening." The young servant inquired, "She is said to be one of the district governor's attendants." He informed the district governor, "It appears that the governor wishes to see her." The district governor, surprised, returned home and had the Kyoto woman bathe and groom herself, treating her like a guest. That night, they dressed her elegantly. The governor, in fact, was the original husband of the soldier from whom she had separated. As the governor called her near to look at her, he thought she seemed strange, so he embraced her to sleep with her, feeling quite affectionate. He said, "Who are you? You seem strange to me." The girl, unsure, said, "I am not from this land. I hail from Kyoto." The governor thought, "Surely she came here to serve the district governor." He continued to ponder, feeling a mix of intrigue and sympathy for her, and he saw her as beautiful. Each night he called for her, feeling something odd yet tender about her. The governor asked her, "But truly, what is your background? Speak honestly." The girl, not wishing to hide anything, replied, "Indeed, I had a former husband who I lost, and if you suspect I am still attached to him, I can say I have not spoken of him for some time." As she spoke, she began to cry. The governor, seeing her tears, thought, "So she must be my old wife." The girl's sadness continued to grow, and the sound of the waves made her anxious. She said, "What is that sound? It frightens me." The governor explained that it was simply the sound of the waves. "I have lived in this world hoping to be freed from my fate, yet I find it all so meaningless," she said, crying. She thought, "Indeed, this is my true husband," but her heart could not bear it. She said nothing, feeling like ice, completely frozen. The governor, seeing this, became anxious, asking, "What is the matter?" The girl thought of the sorrowful circumstances and, feeling ashamed, could no longer endure her fate. In this matter, the girl's death afterward remained unknown, and thus it has been passed down. Title: The Tale of the Poor Man and His Wife, from Setsu. Once upon a time in Kyoto, there lived a man of great poverty. He had no acquaintances, parents, or relatives, and no place to stay. He had to depend on the hospitality of others for shelter, but even there he felt little comfort. Thinking, if only I could find a better place, he wandered around seeking a more suitable home. However, he was met with indifference and found no opportunity for employment, so he remained in despair. His wife, young and beautiful, was graceful and cultured. As they struggled together, the husband lamented to her, saying, "As long as we are together, I feel we can endure. However, our poverty only seems to increase daily. Is it wrong to think of separating?" To this, his wife replied, "I have no such thoughts. This is simply our karmic fate. We should accept the possibility of dying of hunger together. But if we continue this way, I wonder if it would be better to part." The husband, feeling the weight of their situation, agreed, and they tearfully decided to separate. After that, the wife, still young and beautiful, found employment with a man named Shashsh. The man found her captivating and took a liking to her. As time passed, the man's wife passed away, and he took the girl in as his new wife, treating her with great care. During this time, the man became the governor of Setsu. The wife, now living a life of luxury, reflected on her original husband who had left her to seek a better life. However, he had fallen deeper into poverty and could no longer reside in Kyoto. Instead, he wandered around Setsu, becoming a farmer and working for others, feeling lost and without purpose. He lacked the skills needed for farming as he had never learned them, and so he often found himself employed by those with lower status. One day, he was sent to the shore of Naniwa to cut reeds. While he was there, the governor of Setsu and his entourage stopped nearby to relax and enjoy themselves, eating and drinking with their companions. The governor's wife was in the carriage, looking out at the pleasant scenery of Naniwa, where many people were gathering to cut reeds. Among the workers, the governor's wife noticed a man who seemed sorrowful and pitiful, despite his low status. She thought, "How strange! He resembles my former husband." Looking closer, she was convinced it was indeed him. Seeing him in such a state, cutting reeds in a tattered outfit, she felt pity well up inside her. Tears welled up in her eyes as she thought about the fate that had befallen them both. She called out, "Bring that man who is cutting reeds over here." Her messenger hurried off to fetch him, and the man, surprised and perplexed, approached the carriage. As he drew nearer, the governor's wife saw him more clearly. He was covered in dirt, wearing a coarse cloth, with his sleeves torn and hands and face soiled. His legs were infested with leeches, and he looked utterly wretched. Seeing this, the governor's wife felt her heart ache, and she commanded her attendants to provide him with food and drink. Then, taking off one of her garments, she handed it to a servant, saying, "Give this to that man cutting reeds." Along with it, she included a note that read, "I had hoped we would not part this way. Was it truly necessary for us to be separated?" Upon receiving the clothing, the man felt an overwhelming rush of emotions, thinking, "How strange this is! This must be my former wife." He read the note and realized it was indeed from her. Overcome with shame and sadness, he exclaimed, "Please, give me ink and paper." He received them and wrote back, "Without you, my heart is filled with sorrow and regret. I am forever haunted by our separation." The governor's wife, upon reading this note, felt an even greater sense of despair. In that moment, the man abandoned his work of cutting reeds and ran away, hiding himself. The governor's wife, choosing not to share this incident with anyone, kept the story to herself. Thus, it became known only as a tale of karma, where no one understood the truth of their past lives and only regretted their circumstances. This story, as it is told, continued on through generations, passed down until the end of time. The Tale of the Daughters of Yamato. Once upon a time, there was a man known as the governor of a region in Yamato. He belonged to a noble family and, for some reason, was a provincial governor, which made his household prosperous and well off. His wife became pregnant, and due to her feelings, she found it difficult to part with a lady-in-waiting who had them faithfully for many years. Eventually, this lady-in-waiting also became pregnant. In due course, both women gave birth to daughters. The governor, feeling both joy and sorrow, told his wife about it. She too was saddened and suggested, "Then, when the girls are born, let us bring this one here and raise her alongside our own." Hearing this, the governor felt pleased, and with the help of a wet nurse, he welcomed the other girl. They kept the two daughters separated by a sliding door, raising them in different spaces. The stepmother had a refined disposition and treated her stepdaughter kindly, without any malice, treating her as well as her own child. However, the wet nurse for the biological child, who might have harbored some ill feelings, was troubled by the presence of the stepdaughter and harbored unkind thoughts about her. Thinking that this stepchild should be gotten rid of, the wet nurse devised a plan. A woman from Yamato, who often came to visit the wet nurse, noticed the stepmother's predicament. She thought, "This stepchild must be taken away to avoid causing trouble." One night, while the stepchild's wet nurse was asleep, a woman from Yamato snuck in, took the child, and whispered to her, "Take this child somewhere far away and abandon her, so that dogs might devour her. If you have any doubts, be careful not to speak of this matter to anyone else. If you've been seen here for a long time, then surely this secret will be known." Thus, she took the child and, during the day, made her way back to Yamato, riding a horse and accompanied by many attendants. In Yamato, there lived a man named Fuji no Dainagon, a strong and dignified individual who had no children. He mourned this and regularly visited Hase for many years, praying, "Please grant me a child." On one such visit, Fuji no Dainagon's wife happened to be at Hase. Following the wet nurse's advice, the woman from Yamato thought of abandoning the child. However, the child was so lovely that she found it hard to leave her behind. As the wife of Fuji no Dainagon walked by and saw the child in the hands of the peasant woman, she thought, "Surely this must be my child." Upon closer inspection, she noticed the child was around 100 days old and was indeed beautiful, causing her to suspect, "Could this child be mine?" She approached the peasant woman and asked, "Is this child truly yours?" The woman replied, "No, no, this child is not mine. I came to give birth to a child, but her mother passed away. I was told to hand her over to someone who needs a child." Hearing this, Fuji no Dainagon's wife felt joy and said, "I have no children of my own, and I have prayed at Hase for many years. It seems fate has led me to you. Please let me have this child." The woman agreed and handed over the child, who was then embraced. "However, I must ask," the wife continued, "who is this child's mother? I wish to know her lineage, for that will bring joy in the future." The peasant woman responded, "She is indeed someone else's child. However, please do not tell anyone this. I need her for my own reasons." At that moment, the woman swore an oath, promising to keep the matter a secret. When she said, "This child is indeed from such and such a person," the wife felt relieved. Thus, she took the child home, where both she and her husband devoted themselves to raising her. Meanwhile, the child's birth parents were bewildered by her disappearance and searched for her in vain. In time, the stepdaughter grew up beautifully and was of marriageable age. She caught the eye of a young noble named Ukon no Shōshō, who was handsome and charming, and they fell in love. The daughter fell ill one day, and despite her parents' best efforts and various prayers, she eventually passed away, leaving behind a heartbroken husband who could not bring himself to take another wife. Years passed, and the nobleman, still grieving, desired to find someone who resembled her. He often remembered her, feeling that there was no one in the world who could replace her. During this time, he visited Yamato to pray at a shrine on the day of the Inari festival. On that day, he also visited the shrine in hopes of comforting his heart. There, he encountered a beautiful young woman who reminded him of his lost love. The nobleman, captivated by her appearance, sent a young servant to follow her and inquire about her whereabouts. The servant returned, confused, saying, "Who is this woman? She appears to be someone of great significance." The nobleman, desperate to find the woman, asked his companions what they knew. One of them replied, "We cannot go near the place she has been seen. We have only heard of a place known as the back of the tatami mats." The nobleman, intrigued by this reference, sought the meaning of the back of the tatami mats. A scholar present explained that it referred to a district in Yamato where noble families resided. Realizing this might lead him to the woman, he felt joy and decided to follow her. With the help of his young servant and another knowledgeable attendant, he secretly set out for Yamato. They searched the district but could not find her until the servant spotted her leaving a large house. Continuation, missing. Thus the story has been passed down. The Tale of Ukon no Shōshō. Once upon a time, there was a man named Ukon no Shōshō Shlishak, who was remarkably beautiful in appearance and charming in character. Among his many interests, he particularly enjoyed music and the art of the kangen, court music. One night around the 10th of September, when the moon was particularly enchanting, he went out to visit a friend. On the way, he came across a rather dilapidated house surrounded by beautiful trees. While he was there, he faintly heard some music. Curious, Ukon no Shōshō, being a person who found great joy in such things, got down from his carriage and thinking, who could possibly live here? He hid by the side of the entrance and peered in. He noticed that, through a slightly raised curtain in the west, a young woman around 20 years old was playing the koto with great elegance, the moonlight shining upon her, revealing her delicate fingers as she plucked the strings. Seeing this, Ukon no Shōshō became completely captivated, forgetting all thoughts of leaving. There was a small child present in front of the woman. Since there seemed to be no other people around, he thought, surely there's no harm in entering, and stepped inside. The woman, having no place to hide, felt it was strange, but had no choice but to approach him. Ukon no Shōshō, taken by her beauty and grace, felt a rare sense of longing that was unlike anything he had ever experienced. However, realizing it could not be, as dawn approached, the woman said, "It is getting light," and he, feeling an endless yearning, reluctantly departed. After that, they could not meet again, and as Ukon no Shōshō lamented his fate, he learned that the woman was the daughter of a man named Shkasht. Since her mother had passed away, her father had remarried and forgotten about her, leaving her alone in the dilapidated home. In the meantime, the woman's father had risen to the position of Dazai no Daijin and had gone to Chinsei. Although he had not known his daughter for many years, he thought, what could possibly happen to her in the capital, and decided to take her with him. Upon hearing this, Ukon no Shōshō felt sorrowful, thinking, although I grieve for the pain of being apart, it would be even more unbearable if she were to leave for Chinsei. His heart felt heavy, and despite his tears, he could not stop her from going. After that, Ukon no Shōshō sank into despair, thinking he could never find happiness again. As time passed, he fell ill, and as he grew weaker, he thought, if I cannot see her one more time, how can I bear to live? He decided to request a leave of absence from his lord, and addressing a man named Dane Schrapp, said, I must go to visit something of great importance, and secretly set out for Chinsei, accompanied only by a single attendant and a young servant. As they traveled, they arrived at Dazaifu. With no one to inquire about, he sought out the young child he had previously known and called for him. The boy said, It's been a long time. What are you doing here? He reported this to his master, and upon meeting her, she appeared to be filled with compassion. Ukon no Shōshō said, I was thinking of you, and now that I am nearing death, I wish to see you one last time. To which the woman replied, How sorrowful it is that you have come to such a state. They spoke tenderly, but as dawn approached, he mounted his horse, intending to return to the capital. The woman asked, How will you go? But there was no way to escape, so he thought, What else can I do? As it was around December, snow began to fall heavily, and the cold wind was unbearable. He thought to himself, I must hurry and reach my destination, and rushed onward, unaware of the accumulating snow as day turned into night. As darkness fell, he found no place to stay, so he took shelter beneath a tree. He inquired of someone nearby, What is this place called? And the person replied, This is called Yamai. As he traveled, he carried food for both himself and the young woman, sharing it as they went along. As they traveled, the companions he had with him carried light burdens, and as they exchanged stories, they cried for the sorrows they faced on their journey. After a while, Ukon no Shōshō, who had gone hidden away, had not been seen for a long time. The woman asked, Why hasn't he returned yet? She told her companions, and they went to search for him. When they looked, there was no trace of Ukon no Shōshō. The woman, alarmed, ventured deeper to look for him. There, near a fence, she found the sleeve of his hunting attire caught on a branch. Seeing this, she exclaimed, "How tragic!" and was unable to speak further. As she continued to search, she discovered only one of his sandals remaining. Upon picking it up, she found it was just the flat part. Heartbroken, she carried it with her, weeping and lost. Seeing this, the woman could only wonder what thoughts were crossing her mind. Eventually, she fell to the ground, weeping. After a couple of days, the woman's grandfather, the daijin, upon hearing of this, sent several people from Chinsei to inquire about him. They learned from the daijin that Ukon no Shōshō had gone to Chinsei and sent someone to search for him. Seeing this, the messenger, filled with joy, asked, "Where is Ukon no Shōshō?" but found no one to answer. Feeling anxious, he said, "So it is." And although the messenger was heartbroken, he could do nothing. The Chinsei messenger said, "There is no hope now," and urged the woman to return to Chinsei, but she remained there, weeping and unable to rise, as the messenger. Continuation missing.